Okay, hello everyone. My name is Antonika Chanel. I'm an Eastern medicine practitioner and I welcome you to today's medicine talk. Today we are talking with Rhea Swift, who has been experienced in this type of energy medicine for almost 30 years. And it is my pleasure to bring to you the message that she has because she is getting so much great results and she is so intuitive in energy medicine. So I would like for Rhea, could you please just share with us, your story, your background, how you got involved with this, and what was like the determining factor to even start doing this type of medicine to help people?
Well, originally I had no intention of doing this for a living. Previously I was a dancer, and when I left New York, I started working with juvenile delinquents, and I got sick when I was with them. I actually was in North Miami Beach. And I was working with 36 days. I was the only woman on campus. It was fun. And I found breast cancer. I found a lump in my right breast. And long story short, I was treated. I had a mastectomy and treated with a lot of chemotherapy, reconstructive surgery, all that jazz. And then 2 years later, almost to the day, I found another lump in my other breast. And I just knew there was no way I could go back through that again because it was so painful. The surgery was bad enough, but the chemo was horrendous. I actually died for about 10 minutes. And it was very peaceful. I was ready. I thought, this is nice. I kind of like this. I don't have to fight anymore, and I don't, throw out my stomach anymore, and none of that nonsense. And I decided after that I would stop the chemo. So I did. And I just literally went out into the middle of the street and screamed at God and said, "You son of a bitch, if you are who you say you are, then you heal me or kill me. You have 2 weeks." I meant it. I was not going to suffer anymore. And within like a week and a half, people just started coming out of the woodwork, literally, giving me cards, taking me places, giving me jobs I didn't want, and then I'd meet somebody else who would do something else, and it was like that for years. So the second time I had cancer, I did something called right and left brain integration, which integrates the right and left hemispheres of the brain. And the woman who developed that was a cancer person also. She was an X-ray tech, and she got cancer from being X-ray tech. And she didn't want to do medicine because she was already in the hospital and she understood what that was all about. So she decided to look other places. And the place, I don't know her story really, how she got to that place. But she decided, she found people who were doing, I'm trying to remember his name. Dr. Gordon Stokes, I believe, was one of the first chiropractors. Do you know that name, Gordon Stokes? Does it ring a bell?
No, not yet.
Okay. He was the man who he was predated Touch for Health, and he just had this an intuitive hit that if our right and left brains aren't talking to each other, then something's off in the body. So they did a lot of cross crawling, similar to what Donna Eden does, and she was in this group of men. There was like 5 doctors and her and Joan. And they practiced different things. They were, doing research for about a year, and that they concluded that there was no way to make it permanent. And she said, well, if 5 to 10% of us are integrated, there's got to be a way to make it permanent. Like, we're wired for that. Let's try to find a way. And they said couldn't be done. And she said, okay, bye. And she left them, and she went on her own. And it took her about a year through different muscle testing techniques, and she found the way to do it. And it's a 3-hour process. It integrates the right and left hemisphere of your brain, and the stress leaves your immune system. It does a whole host of things. It's an amazing piece of work. You only ever do it once. It takes 3 hours. So I did that with Joan. We did medical dowsing from Hannah Kroger's work, who was a pretty famous healer. She's now deceased, but she started Peaceful Meadow Retreat outside of Boulder, Colorado. Very, very intuitive. This woman, off-the-wall intuition. She started one of the first health food stores in 1950 and called it New Age Foods. So way, way, way ahead of her time. She came up with a system of dowsing the body by using a protractor to figure out what degree organs were working or not working. Long story, you can go on her website. It's really fascinating stuff. So we did the medical dowsing, and I did have cancer. And the way I cleared it was I took a frequency that cancels out the type of cancer that you have. You put it in water. The water holds the frequency of whatever that thing is, and then you just put little drops under your tongue. And within a month, the tumor shrank, disappeared, was gone. And I found each cancer. So this one was close to the surface of my skin, so I could feel it. And within a month, the whole thing was gone. So that was awesome. And I was so fascinated by this work. I didn't really know. I've been meditating since 1974, and this happened in 1988. So, I was on that spiritual path, so to speak, but I didn't really know much about any of this stuff. And when I did the right and left brain, my eyes just like, boom, they just popped open. It was pretty amazing. I realized how dysfunctional I was. I realized how unhappy I was. I realized how crazy my family was. I didn't really get it before. I thought it was just me who had the problem, but it creates a new awareness when you have your creative, intuitive brain and your logic, linear brain talking to each other. There's a lot that can be said about that. And if anyone's interested, I can send them more information. Not much is written about her work because she didn't really market it. She just taught a few people and sort of did a quiet retiring. She's a bit older than I, but she does still practice.
So my question to you is for those viewers who are watching who don't know what energy medicine is, how can you most describe that in a way for the new person who has no idea?
Boy, my mind just went to like 4 different places. So to make it simple, right? To make it simple, I have to say this first. There is a Dr. Candace Pert out of Georgetown, who was I think a cell physiologist. I'm not exactly sure her discipline, but she was a researcher. I think she's still there. And she believed that something happened chemically in the body when we had trauma. So she set out to prove that. And what she found was that, I'll just take a really basic example. If you're a 2-year-old and you put your finger in a fire, the hypothalamus spits out a protein chain that goes down to the body. And one of the receptor cells in the body, because the organs have little receptor cells where they grab information, and the receptor cell grabs this protein chain and then sends a link back up to the brain that says, we got it, we understand. That's traumatic, and I shouldn't do it again. So it catalogs it for you, and it's a survival mechanism, right? And in terms of fire and, lions and tigers and bears wanting to get at you from the cave, it's a great system. And we still have the same stress-related hormones pumping through our body, even though we don't live in caves, and animals are not going to eat us when we walk outside. So what happens is if, say, for instance, kind of a crude example, your father is physically abusive, and every morning when you wake up, he's upset, he's angry, and he hits you. Well, this protein chain is sent down from the hypothalamus to your body receives it, sends it back up, and says, okay, being around dad is probably not a good idea because I get hit, or men, or angry people, or alcoholics, or whatever. So it's a form of getting yourself acclimated to bad things that might happen to you. And it creates what I see as a blueprint. I see an energetic blueprint in and around the body that looks like usually nothing very descriptive. It's a cloud or chains or ropes or, different structures that just appear in my mind's eye that tell me that something's wrong with you. So I clear them. That's one of the things I do. I tune into your body and I remove with my mind that particular structure so that we got more people. Hi, Sydney. So we got more people walking around. So that's one of the things I do is I clear it with my mind. I didn't know I had the ability to do that until when I went to study with Hannah Kroger. One of the exercises she did, and people at home can try this, it's fascinating, is you take one person, you have them stand against a wall, a blank wall, have the lighting low, and then you scan their body from the top of their head all the way down to their feet, and then you close your eyes. and see what you see in their body intuitively. And you might see them choking or smoking, or, there's something cinched around their lungs or their waist, or someone yelling at them. And that's the trauma that they're carrying. So from there, you find different ways to remove it. So there's lots of ways to remove it. Reiki does that. All the tapping, EFT, and Tapas Fleming's work from California, Tat Life, she does that. I did it with my mind. That was the first thing I did. And then I learned about the chakras. And there's 12 physical bodies around, 12 non-physical bodies around the physical body where things get stored. So all illness gets stored in the 12 non-physical bodies around your physical body. So for instance, my mom died from lung cancer. So I had the ability, the precursor we call it, to have lung cancer. I found out which one of those 12 bodies it was on, and I removed it. I don't have to worry about lung cancer. You can remove arthritis, diabetes, cancer, AIDS, just about anything that way. It takes a while to really get rid of everything that way, so I'm not patient, and I think we should be able to heal lickety-split. So I always looked for more things to do. I also regress. So the main things I use are wholehearted healing, which is a regression technique, and it takes you back to the point of the trauma. Close your eyes. You can tune into the God mind. That gives you a new awareness. You travel all the way back to the point when you felt that, the very first time you felt that. And then as you feel it, it leaves. So I think that's the beauty of this work, of any good. We don't have to do layers. All we have to do is go back to the very first time we felt the thing and feel that and any other extenuating emotions that are surrounding that and relieve it. So I don't know if that's enough of an explanation, but that's...
No, that's a great explanation. And I'm so glad that, you shared that with us, because, going through Chinese medicine school and understanding what Chinese medicine really is, it's not just a study of nutrition and, needling someone to move, the type of condition that they're going through, but it's also a movement of energy. And so when we become more aware that we are this, ball of energy, and that energy can stagnate, then we realize that it's that stagnation that lowers our vibrational frequency. And I think that's a lot of the reason why, we, like you said, traumatic experiences causes us to, emotional experiences causes our sympathetic nervous system to go, crazy, and we end up having this high cortisol level and being stressed all the time. So how do we, if we're eating right and we're going to getting, treatments and whatnot, but we're still stressed out and we're still angry, there's still that stagnation that exists. So my next question to you is, you are so intuitive and you know this. How do we know that we all possess this ability to heal ourselves and to help heal others, knowing that there is this existence of energetic power that we are exposed to?
I think it's the intuitive piece. I think it's like anything. Like, I am not a visual artist, but I try. I can draw and draw and draw and draw and draw. And one day I drew a hand, and it took me a year, to get it. So I've always been really intuitive, and I don't know that everybody is as intuitive as everybody else. I also don't know that we don't have something in us that allows us to tune in to ourselves and know in which direction to go for healing. So that's really a big piece of my medicine, is my message. I don't think it's hard to heal, but I also think everybody's going to do it differently. Like, I've worked with people where I did the right and left brain integration, we did the medical dowsing, we got them the frequencies. This was in the 80s and the early 90s, the early days. And if they didn't want to heal, 6 months later, they were dead. So you can't make somebody want to heal if they don't want to heal. If you have blocks to healing, which you may not even be aware of, you're not going to heal. So the blocks could be stuff you picked up from your mom, your dad, a past life, or any of your ancestors. So that's the first thing we want to do. But the point of it is, I was intuitive enough to know that I didn't have to do that, that there had to be a different way. There has to be another way to heal yourself other than pain and torture. And that's how I saw chemotherapy and surgery. So when people say to me, well, I've done everything and they're still sick, I think, no, you haven't. there's something out there that's going to benefit you. And you probably, just because we live in a world of all the information about the alternatives is not out. There's so many energy medicines. There's so many types of body work. There's so many types of pressure work. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. That there's no way for you to possibly know all of those. So you have to trust your gut. And if your gut says, this is, maybe 10 people healed from that, but it doesn't feel right for me, then go find somebody else. Just keep looking and looking and looking until you get that aha. You get a smile on your face and you feel warm and fuzzy and you think, I don't know why, but I have to be with you. And that's the intuitive knowing, right? That's what takes us there. I don't think people understand how deeply damaged humans are. So when I did, the second time I had my second cancer, I did several past life regressions. It was all I could think to do. I had no idea what to do, but that's what came to me. So I found I just happened to be near a woman who I didn't know, but someone gave me her card, and she was amazing. And she took me back to the point before this lifetime when I chose to come to this life. And it was my turn to choose my parents. And as soon as I felt the energy from this man, metaphorical man, who gave me this vibration of what my life was going to be like, I immediately gave back to him and said, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be born. And I was 10 days late. My mom was in labor for 10 days. I was supposed to be born July 4th. I wasn't born until the 14th. And the day that I was healed by Hannah Kroger laying her hands on me I'm just saying this story so people understand that if you trust your intuition and you really surrender, just let it go, stop acting like you know something, because you probably don't. We really don't. We just have to listen. You will find what's right for you. So I ended up at Hannah Kroger's retreat center. She put her hands on me, and in 5 minutes, cancer was gone. I lost consciousness. I went back into my mother's. I'm getting feedback, honey. Layla, can you mute yourself? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. So I lost consciousness. I went into my mother's womb, and I'm in the womb. It's a long story. There's a man who ended up paying for me to go there. I didn't ask him. The whole thing just fell into place. And I went back into my mother's room, and I'm standing at the birth canal, and I'm screaming, I don't want to be born. I don't want to be born. I don't want to be born. And before I know it, there's pressure on my back, and I'm out, and I'm looking around, and I realize that I was reborn, not spiritually, but that was July 4th, the day that in 1993 that happened. I didn't plan it. I don't know how that happened. I didn't work it. I think when I surrendered to God, everything else just fell into place. And it's hard to surrender to God. First of all, we don't know who God is. So how do you surrender to something you don't understand? But I was so sick and tired of being in pain that I could do it. I call it my surrender by fire. So when someone comes to me, I check the blocks to healing first. I make sure there's no negative presences, nothing negative, nothing like, not to sound weird, but there's negativity in the world. Entities, all kinds of turmoil that we can carry, structures, things from other people that we pick up daily, pathologies, non-physical pathologies, viruses, bacteria, rot, retention, trauma, shock conditions, addictions. There's a whole host of things. And we all share the same huge, enormous field of energy. We all live in the same soup. So we're always passing this information back and forth. And all the pathologies make us think. So 90% of our thoughts are not ours. That's a lot of thinking we don't have to do, right? It's what we're picking up from the world around us. So my first workbook is to teach you how to get rid of those thoughts so you don't walk around in that craziness all the time, thinking things that are very destructive for you and you have no idea where they came from. So that you got to get rid of, right? So we do that piece first, get rid of the blocks, get rid of all the stuff you're carrying from other people, and then you make a drawing. If you're with me, you make a drawing, because I use expressive arts, and you'll draw your body. You put your body in the picture, and whatever else you feel like the drawing needs. Black around your heart, or red dots in your belly, or black lines over your kneecaps. You never know. And with those colors, I create a constellation out of pieces of tile, colored tile, and I become those different structures. And it's extremely intuitive. And a constellation is based on the work of Bert Hellinger, who's like a 98-year-old German man at this point. And Bert worked with the Zulu missionaries for about 17 years. And he noticed that whenever they had a problem, instead of when the tribe was fighting, they would go and get people to represent their dead relatives, because they believed that their current problems were things they carried from their dead relatives. And lo and behold, that's the truth. They were correct. So different people would represent your great-grandmother and her sisters and, her father, and they would be having a problem or had a problem in their life that you now carry. So all you do is turn around and give it back to them. That's one of the simple things. So out of loyalty, souls carry, and now they know it's on the DNA, what your ancestors carried. So for instance, they did the research on Holocaust survivors or families of Holocaust survivor members, and they found that 2-3 generations forward still carried the same pain, had the same hypervigilance, the same fear, the same worry as the people that were in the Holocaust. That's amazing. People whose families were slaves, same thing. People whose families, like Armenians, had a huge genocide at one point in their history, same thing. No matter, and everybody's from an old culture. Nobody's just an American except maybe the Native Americans, and they carry trauma from what happened to them. So we can clear that trauma, which heals your body and your mind, and you're not getting jobs, and you're not being able to have a good relationship, and your ability to procrastinate for everything, your frustration at not being able to move forward. And you're free, and the freer you get, the easier it is to tune into the creative consciousness. And once you can tune into that, which is really the piece de resistance of the work, of any good work, you are guided. You know it, you feel it, there's no doubt, you don't hesitate, you just, okay, get up, wash the car, come back, call those 5 people, go out, write that book, call that, set up a workshop. The fear, the doubt around, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I'll never make it, it's not going to work, nobody loves me, all that crap that we carry, it just starts to go away. So you have to clear. It's like a dirty glass of water. I can't put clean water in a dirty glass of water. I'll still have a dirty glass of water. But if I empty the dirt out of the water, like most of it, eventually I can put clean water in and I'll get clean water. So it's the same kind of thing. So in energy medicines, like I said, Reiki is one of them. All the tapping, the emotion code, wholehearted healing. There's just so many. Access consciousness is one. There's a plethora.
I want to take a quick moment to welcome the people who've just joined us in this conference, and I wanted to invite you to ask questions. This is for you to understand and take away and to, be with Rita. So if you have a question, go ahead and either type it in the message or unmute yourself and, ask your question. So go ahead, Sydney from North Carolina.
Okay. Well, I've worked with Rhea a lot, and she has helped me so much, and she has a lot of gifts. And just hearing this, I'm like, oh, I gotta work with Rhea again, because it's this unfolding of your life. But I was just gonna mention also healing touch is a modality. And Rhea, you don't know this, but I'm now a healing touch practitioner apprentice.
Nice.
And had amazing experiences with energy work. And they say you really don't learn energy, you learn it by doing it. And I think that's true for the participants too. I think that's one of the biggest challenges is we can explain this till we're blue in the face, but until someone comes and they let us experience it, they trust, then I think that's when, that's the only way you really can know what this is.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's very hard to explain it to somebody. It's just how do you tell somebody that you're moving something inside their body that they can't see and usually don't feel? You're not aware.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I ask people to, come to me for 5 sessions, and they're always skeptical. They dismiss the results the first time. Second time they start to scratch their head, well, maybe there's something to this. But by the 5th time, they'll say, oh my gosh, it was so amazing. It's because they were ready. like their psyche was ready, and they become the healers, and you just hold the space. So it's almost like a big part of what we have to do is like educate people so they can be their own healers, you know.
I am in alignment with you, Sydney, and I'm so glad you shared that. And I noticed that in my practice, it does take about 6 treatments in order for somebody to really identify what's going on in their body and to release those negative energies. So I use, sound color therapy in my treatments, and it's really amazing what people discover for themselves. But Rita, what I want to ask you is, there are several different types of energy medicines, and there are some that you are very passionate about. Can you tell us a little bit more about those medicines that you have been practicing?
Sure. Well, I like Immunix. It's IMMUNICS. I call it psyche, and Sydney knows it. She took the course.
I did a course with her on it.
Yeah. And I remember your statement. You said your mind is no longer part of the normal, I don't know if you said negative, but the normal, like gossipy mind. I think something like that you said. You just didn't go there anymore. Your mind was not in that place that other people's minds were at.
Mm.
So Immunix is
Powerful.
really powerful stuff, really powerful. And you can learn Immunix online by yourself. You have to pay for it. There's at least 3,500 pages on the website. So what I did was I just culled through it, realized how disorganized it was at the time. I haven't been on it in a while. And then I pulled out what seemed like a daily practice to me, so that I teach people how to clear the stuff they're picking up, shield themselves from it, you remove all the negative crap that your organs carry. You can boost the chakras through boosting their frequency. I do a little bit extra than what Immunix does. So I get people I don't like layers. I don't like some therapies, you layer. Well, after a while, I got really bored with that. And I said, there has got to be a better way. I mean, can't we just get to the root cause and get rid of it? Why do we have to do all these layers? So I realized in searching that out that there's some specific locations where our emotions live. So the non-12 bodies, the chakra system, there's 45 fields that carry kind of like a reflection of your physical life that are around the body. There's 144 chakras, 144 dimensions, and your organs and your meridians. So all you have to do is test, where is this stuff sitting, and remove it, and then you don't have to do layers. So that's one piece. That I use Immunix constantly. The other piece I really like is wholehearted healing. And wholehearted healing is God, his work is so fascinating. So I have to tell you about him. His name is Grant McFetrich. He was a research engineer in Canada, and he taught in California as well. And he had a nasty divorce. And he was one of those people that never got depressed. He never got sad. He couldn't understand how anybody could be depressed or sad. So when he lost his happy, as he says, and he couldn't get it back, it really rocked his world. So being in California around San Francisco, he started studying different things. He became a shaman. He did Michael Harner's 4-year program. That didn't clear it. He did expressive arts therapy. That didn't clear it. He did a bunch of things. And then one day, and he went back to school to become a PhD psychologist. And he realized right before graduation that they never talked about healing. They talked about managing. And he said, I don't want to manage. I want to heal. I have to get happy again. So somebody sort of inadvertently said, come on over here, and laid him down on a massage table, probably, and regressed him back to the time where he was a fetus in the womb. And he all of a sudden realized that he was breathing in the smoke from his pregnant mother as she smoked a cigarette. And when he made this awareness of, oh my God, that's smoke, and it's disgusting, those two things together, the emotion and the thought, when you get them at the same time, it releases the trauma. His lungs opened up. He took a breath deeper than he'd ever taken before, and he realized, this is it. This is what I want. So he laid on the floor for 10 years and regressed himself for thousands of hours, and he went back through every single biological stage from the moment you leave Creator until the moment you're born, and found that there's trauma on all those stages. So I do that. I can see where you're at. I can do that in a constellation. There's so much to his work. He works with the triune brain consciousnesses, which are the three. They're the reptilian brain, the Olympic brain, and the mammalian brain. All have different consciousnesses, probably two each. And they are, when we're born, they're supposed to coagulate into one consciousness around the solar plexus chakra, but they don't for some reason. So we always have this level of trying to get back to a sense of wholeness for ourselves. You need to heal each one of the triune brains. You need to also work with the chakras and clear whatever's going on for them that doesn't allow them to function properly, which is to take in the life energy from source and then get rid of the dirt. And they don't work well that way. So here's a for instance. When your mother is a 4-month-old fetus, your egg is formed in her body. You live your entire life with your mom. You live your mother's entire life with her. You're consciously aware of everything she goes through on some deeper level. So my mother was Italian, lived in a very international-ish community in a very small town in upstate Pennsylvania, where the Italians were, I think, the newest kids on the block. So everybody treated them like they were the outsider, and she wasn't accepted. I picked that up from her while I was just an egg when she was 5 years old. So that became, I was aware of that. I made a decision about that. Oh my God, that's scary. I don't want to be with people who don't understand me right away. And I've had that for years. I don't have it anymore because I know how to get rid of it. So when you leave Creator, there can be trauma just about coming. You're ready to come to Earth, and all of a sudden you dive in and you go, oh my God, I've been here before. What am I doing? I must be out of my mind. I'm not going back there again. That place is hard. So every single stage, every cell division, when the egg and the sperm join, how does the sperm feel about this? How does the egg feel about this? I've worked with people whose parents should never have been married, and the man literally raped his wife to get pregnant. That baby carried that information and had a reaction to it. So we clear all that stuff, and then we can make a constellation out of it so that we can see, does this follow? Is this something you've carried for many, many lifetimes? Is this something that your ancestors have carried? Because what I see is that so let me think of a good for instance. I had a client whose father was German. He was born in Germany. They migrated here before World War II. In World War II, he was 17. He was drafted, he went to Germany, and he killed his fellow countrymen. And it destroyed him to kill his fellow countrymen. He had no choice. So when he came back, it psychologically it did such a bad job on him that it changed his brain chemistry. And he became bipolar. He became suicidal and extremely depressed. And all his children carried that. They were not nobody in that house was happy. So when she came to me, we did 2 constellations, and the second one she said, my dad was in Germany and told me this story, and I went, oh my God, why? You should have told me that first. So she carried that. She turned around, she said, Dad, I'm giving you back the pain of having to kill your fellow countrymen. I'm giving you back the pain of the men you killed, their pain. I'm giving you back. He carried the whole war with him. That was bad. And when she did that, she became happy. She was 54. It was the first time she was ever happy in her life. Yeah. So it's that kind of work. It's incredibly powerful. People heal so quickly. Recently, I've added something called WHEE, W-H-E-E, which is a tapping similar to EMDR. So you tap on both sides of your body at the same time. And what you do is you go back, you close your eyes, you tune into the God mind, you get very relaxed, and you ask God to show you the very first time this feeling ever happened for you. And you go all the way back to Rome or Iceland or Greece or wherever you're from originally in one of your early lifetimes, and something happened to you then. You're being treated badly, you're poor, you have leprosy, you don't know. And all the feelings in that lifetime, we release all of them, not just the initial thing you came for, but every feeling that person in that lifetime felt around that particular situation in relationship to their home, their body, their family, work, etc. You find out where you carried in this time, release it, and man, it's just gone. It's so deep. So profound. It blew my mind when I learned it. It was amazing. So I do this little combination thing of the energy work. We do some art, you do a constellation, you clear everything, then we cycle back again and do that all over again until every single thing around that situation in that life is gone. That's it in a nutshell. So those are all the methods I use. I teach it. I'm very eager. I've been traveling. I want to teach people how to do this so that a lot of it, once you learn the tools, you can do a lot of it yourself. I do all my own work myself. Very rarely do I go to somebody.
Yes, I agree. We need an army of people who can do this and embrace this type of healing medicine, right?
Yep. And we do it for cultural stuff. Like I've done it for slavery. I get a group of African Americans together and we take all their families back to Africa and we clear up. So what happened with the Africans, I had a client who said to me, I cannot leave my children. Like she's my age and she has grown kids who have kids. And when she goes to visit her grandchildren, she cannot come home. She can't get in the car to come back. Like they have to physically take her, put her in the car, start the engine and say, go home, Mom. And it kills her. She cries the whole way home. It's horrible. This is a highly educated woman. She started Montessori schools all over the country and in Korea. This woman this is the only place she's stuck. What happened was, we're on the middle passage. I regressed, when I do the constellation, I become those family members that have affected you. And all of a sudden, here's this middle-aged woman in this disgusting soup on the slave ship where somebody's being born and someone's dying over here and there's infections over there. And it was awful. If you haven't experienced that, you just have no idea. That's why so many died. It was terrible. All of a sudden, this woman raises her hand and she says, oh my God, oh my Lord, what have we done to deserve this? And felt like it was karmic, like they did something wrong to be treated that way. And I saw this line of people in front of her who were so badly treated in such a destructive manner that eventually African Americans turned that around and absorbed that destruction, and it became self-destruction.
Wow, you just have so much to share. Can we get down to more about this course that you are offering? What does it involve? How is it organized? How long is it? And what will others take away from this course?
Sure. So then the first course I'm teaching, not the first, I've taught this before, I've taught a lot for years, but I'm doing it online now through the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. And if you go to my Facebook page, and probably I'll send you a link as well. My Facebook page is Rhea.Swift. And I'll put it there. I'll make an event page. It'll be on Twitter and Google Hangouts, LinkedIn, the whole bit. But the guy that's hosting it for me is the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy.com. And it'll be 6 weeks long. It's 2 hours each week. I believe the book, you can buy the workbook separately, and then you don't have to take the course if you think you can figure that out for yourself. Some people have, that's great. But I think it would behoove you to take the course because you're going to get a lot more from me than just what's in the book. So it's the things I talked about in the beginning about learning how to clear the blocks to healing, turn on all your intuition, creativity, being centered, being balanced, being present, being aware, being awake, all those things we turn back on. We remove all the immune dysfunctions. We remove the pathologies. And you're learning how to do this for yourself because all these things that are in this course, we pick up on a daily basis. And it's what makes our mind so darn busy, right? So the more of these things you clear, the quieter you get. You're going to clear a bunch of stuff, and you're going to go out tomorrow, and you're going to pick up some things again, and then when you come home, you're going to clear them again, and the next day you're going to pick up less and less and less until you get to the point where you realize, I always pick up retention and viruses. That's what I pick up all the time. So now when you walk into the grocery store feeling great, and you walk out feeling not great, I just picked up a virus because that's what I'm susceptible to. So you remove the virus from the 12 bodies. You just say, I'm removing all viruses from all my 12 bodies, and it's gone. So there's a whole list of things. It's about 60 pages back to back. So every page is chock full of things to clear. We work with the assemblage point. We correct all the chakra frequencies. We open up all the 144 chakras. We remove impairments and disabilities on the 144 dimensions. We clear the organs because organs carry lots of emotions, as you know from what you do. And we clear all those emotions and more. Like low self-esteem, I think, is stored in the pancreas. So you go to your pancreas and you say, I'm removing low self-esteem. And you do it enough times and eventually it sticks. It's done. It's gone. You've gotten rid of all of it. There are meridians around. You know, if you go to, instead of me reciting everything, it's on the list. So you'll find it. I don't think they put it up yet. Hopefully it'll be up tomorrow. And I'll put it on my Facebook page either today or tomorrow. So the book is $45 that you can buy and just have it and do it. And then the course itself is $180. So it comes out to $15 an hour to learn this stuff. And you can do it for yourself. I'm giving you the book so that you're ready. Normally it's about 300 something to study. It takes 2 days to learn, but those people don't have the workbook. This way you acquaint yourself with it. There's a muscle testing video that teaches you how to self-muscle test. Yes, so that's part of the course that you learn before the course. So we don't want to waste time. Everybody gets a partner to work with through the week. You have access to me via email for any questions. Yeah, and then you have people to practice with if you want to practice with, even after the course is over. That's the first course. From there, we go into removing all the cords and all the energetic phenomena, cords, curses, ancestral traumas, generational traumas, vows, promises, just all that. It's an enormous amount of stuff. It's a regression technique that you can do yourself. So you go back to the first time it happened and you clear it. So that'll be the second course. So stay tuned. I don't have the third course worked out yet, but that's the way it'll be. There's a PayPal link. You pay me directly. You get a copy of the videos afterwards, so you can keep them. And you're the only one who will get them. It's going to go on my website then to be a paid course. So people can buy the course and go through it themselves without me there. So that's the plan. And I really want to come and teach people the full body, you know, the whole thing, which is the energy work, the expressive arts work, and the constellations. And then you can do it with your group. You can do it for your neighborhood. We cleared the Underground Railroad in Philadelphia because that went through Philadelphia, and people are affected by that. You know, that stuff lives underneath us. We also cleared geopathic stress, which is all the ley lines that aren't proper, burial grounds you might be living on top of, underground streams that are stagnant. You know, there's a host of things. There's a lot, but it's all listed in the coursework, so you can find all that there. 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern Standard.
Yes, go ahead, Sydney. We have about 5 minutes left in this. I didn't realize that this version of Zoom gives me a time limit of only 45 minutes. So if you've got a question, Sydney, go ahead and ask. And Layla, if you have a question, you know, this is also for you as well. So go ahead and feel free to ask any questions before we end this conversation.
Rhea, it sounds like the first part of this first course is the Immunix. Is that the course that I was with you as you developed it the first time?
Yeah.
The Immunix course? Is that the one?
It's the same thing. Yeah, I call it Energy for Life.
Yeah. And so if I kept having a hard time collecting all the data, you know, because you were just pulling it together then. So if I bought the book, it would have everything in it because I took the course, right, already?
Yep. Absolutely. Yep, you got it. You can buy the book. Yeah.
And you'll be posted I could buy it like tomorrow? You'd have it,
it should be up tomorrow. I'm making some changes because, you know, I'm always updating it and making it more streamlined. So I would check Sunday.
Okay.
You know, because
that Immunix is so powerful. I used it every day for probably 3 years.
Wow. Yeah. And you can still use it, right?
Yeah. I was just thinking, wow, where's my little notes? I had a little notebook I carried around till it literally fell apart.
Yeah. And I've been using it for 10 years and I still use it. If I feel crazy, you know, because I'm pretty cool. I didn't used to be pretty not crazy, pretty, you know, sane and centered and balanced, but now I really am. and very tuned in to the current of God and all that stuff. But if I come home and I feel nutty, that's the first thing I do. I pull out the Immunix book. I find, what did I pick up? I picked up an entity. I picked up someone's negativity, somebody's fear, whatever. And I just clear it from me. If I carry my dad's lungs or my mom's pancreas information, we do that. We carry our family's stuff. We carry their organs.
You charge a reviewer fee? Like if I wanted to take it again, is there?
Yeah, let me think about that. I'll give you a reduced rate. So for anybody who's already taken it, we can, yeah, sure. I'll let you know, Sid. I'll email you. I'll email you later.
All right, Layla, do you have any questions or any closing comments or remarks that you'd like to share? You can go ahead and unmute yourself so we can hear you.
Okay, not really, but I just want to say that I was on Tyson's 2, Zoom days with Rhea, and I just wanted to say how powerful it was for me.
We did a little work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did that stick for you, the work that we did?
Well, I also do energy work on myself, so I just kept on moving the energy. I was amazed at what came up.
Yeah.
When you did it with me, I was really amazed, and I just kept on working with it. So.
It's one of the things that's great about working with me is that I'm one of those people that I really see. I can see what your issues are. So it helps you clear them because I can see what's going on. I get a hit. I hear it in my head or I get a picture and we follow that line. But before we run out of time, I want to tell everybody where to reach me. My website is Rhea Swift. It's RIA Swift, like fast, .biz, B-I-Z. And my email address is riaswift@gmail.com. And you can also reach me via phone, 484-767-4890. I do private sessions, long distance, with people all over the world. So they're just as effective as if you're with me in person. In fact, sometimes I think they're more effective because we don't get distracted by talking or looking at each other's interesting features or quotes or what have you. We just do.
Yeah. All right, we have less than a minute to go and I'm going to get cut off. I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for your testimony. Thank you, Rhea. And I look forward to touching base again and being able to bring this information out even more. So thank you so much for your time and God bless you all and hope to see you again soon.
Great. Thanks. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.